name's Ian Carpenter from Valid8. Today we're going to show a demonstration of our UE emulator for LTE. In this particular setup we have also a core network simulator and a device under test, which is a LTE eNB, in this case from Airspan. So the arrangement is these are directly cabled in with SMA cables right into the UE emulator. We have here then the UI, which is controlled from this laptop here, reflecting that screen. So what I can do is configure it from the UI, and it's pretty straightforward. It's got a nice overlay of useful configuration parameters. These include setting the bandwidth, so you can set from different bandwidths here, including IoT. There's also a SISO MIMO configuration and the band configuration. We have various preset bands. It actually goes from very low frequencies all the way up to 6 gigahertz. So it's pretty flexible. We have some of the most common bands preset. You can also add additional ones in and specify it even as a EAR FCN value directly in this field here as well if you want to. Now, once you've set your band, in this case we're using band 4, you can collapse that and start the emulation. Now, what this is going to do is set everything up according to its parameters first of all, and then we still have a step to do where we're actually going to start to attach the UEs. What we can also do in parallel is run Wireshark. So if I just go to my command prompt here, I can start that going. So this will show us a view of just all the traffic that's happening on the network. So we can put in a filter showing the S1 and GTP information. And what that now shows us is currently in the idle state. We haven't attached yet. Next step, we're going to hit start on the controller. So this control widget basically says how long you want the traffic to run for, how many iterations, and how many calls. Now this one's set up just configured for 10. It supports up to 256 per unit. You can also stack multiple units together and have aggregated traffic, typically up to some thousands if you want to. Now, once we've got that set up, in this case, I'm going to set it to do 10 and then hit start. You can take a look in Wireshark. We should now see the messages here as it's following the attach sequence. Once the attach is complete, it will start to do a ping test. In this particular setup, we have built-in ping and UDP testing. It's also possible to use one of these external interface ports here to pass through traffic from another traffic source, either from a Valid8 emulator or from another third-party source. So it could be, for example, HTTP traffic generation or SIP-VoLTE or any other kind of traffic source you might want to put through. So you can see in our case here, we've got some pings going on for each of the UEs that were set up. You can also see a little summary of the statistics on the front panel here. And this is just for a quick reference, so you can see this basically running. We see the radio is up in the up and downlink directions. We have 10 attaches, 10 attaches completes, and also RRC completes as well. So that's the first part of that. Secondarily, we can also now look at the analysis section here. If we go to events, you'll see various events within the system. So you can see the different level messages as it's trying to attach for each of the IMSIs. So here you've got IMSI number 1, and we should see in this case 1 through 10, which we provisioned. So you see it's going up, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So you see that kind of level detail in the event log. Also under Analyze, we have a dashboard, and the dashboard will show currently the number of IMSIs, or the specific IMSIs that are attempting an attach and completed, as well as RRC connection and completed. So you get a nice summary here of everything that's happening. This is extensible, so you're able to add on your own metrics if you want to, perhaps look at traffic rate or some other information. You can customize this view and add additional statistics in there. Also, we have everything is API, REST API controlled. So within this API log, you can see all the commands that we just initiated from the UI. So you can copy these and put these into a automation environment and trigger the same thing from your automation. So you don't need to use the UI. And all that's captured nicely in this log that you can quite easily copy out, for example, into a curl command or Python, PHP, Perl, other such scripting languages. So that's API log. There's also a reference here for radio. So if you're trying to look up a specific band, there's a nice helpful table in here. So you can put in band 7 and it tells you what the EAR FCN is for the downlink. You can also look it up in the table. So it's also possible to add your own specific band setups. If there's a certain uplink downlink combination that you want to create, perhaps proprietary, you can do that with this tool as well. So yeah, I think so that's about it. That's the UE emulator demonstration. Of course, there's all kinds of other things, like there's a help section with some useful documentation in there, and all kinds of other stuff. That's our UE emulator overview. Thank you very much.